Hey tubers, it's Tony with another helpful video, and today right quick we're going to talk about how to replace your sway bar bushings on your 2006 Ford Explorer. This process should be the same for any of the Ford Explorers that you currently drive out there today. I want you to keep in mind that this video will be for instructional purposes only. What does that mean for you? That means if you follow my simple step-by-step instructions today, you will be able to replace your sway bar bushings with no problems. It's really difficult to hold a camera and do some of these jobs, guys. So again, if you follow my simple instructions today, you'll be able to successfully replace your sway bar bushings. You'll need 2 jack stands, 1 jack, and if you don't know how to jack a vehicle up safely, guys, and place it on jack stands, stop. Go get help from someone that knows what they're doing before you start this job, because you don't want to get injured. You'll need a 3/8 ratchet and a 15mm socket. You'll need an 18mm socket and a long driver like so. You'll need a short driver, and this short driver will come in handy when you're working on the passenger side. What I typically do, guys, is I take my 18mm socket and that long driver, I place it over the arm of the ratchet, and it gives me extra leverage, and trust me, it will help you. You will need a tube of blue thread locker, not red, guys, blue. You'll need a set of sway bar bushings. I chose the Moog name brand. And there is your part number. I purchased mine from rockauto.com, and I spent about $10 for a set. 2 comes in a box. I had a larger order, of course, but locally it was like $25 for a box, so it just saved me because I had a larger order. I've already replaced the sway bar bushings on this vehicle to try and save time with the video. And how did I know they were bad? I went out and examined them, guys. They were busted up, dry rotted, etc. So I knew I needed new sway bar bushings. Bad ones can potentially cause a lot of noise when you're going over bumps, and that's what was happening and directed me to the bottom of the vehicle. The old sway bar bushings, it's one piece, guys. The new sway bar bushings, let's say this was cut straight through, it comes in 2 pieces. You stick the top piece here on top of the sway bar, and then the bottom part just comes up like this and meets with it, and then you'll put the little protective cover back over it. I want you to keep in mind that these sway bar bushings, when you buy them, the packaging will say driver side and passenger side. You want to make sure you place those where they need to go. Again, if you follow these simple instructions, guys, you'll be able to do this with no problem. I will go out to the vehicle eventually and show you where your sway bar is. I'm just going to show you one side. I'm going to show you what the new bushings look like. I'm going to show you where your 2 15mm retaining bolts are. And then for the most part, guys, we can wrap this video up. Okay? It's just way too easy. To get this job started, guys, again, you need the jack. Well, don't jack the vehicle up first. You need to break your lug nuts. Just break them until they start turning loose. Then stop, both sides. Place the vehicle safely on 2 jack stands, and then you can go ahead and remove your lug nuts and your wheels. Once you do that, you are going to see your sway bar bushings and your retaining bolts. So what you're going to do is, guys, what I typically do is I take the jack, whatever side I'm working on, I take the jack and place it gently under the sway bar for support, because what happens is when you go to release the bolts, guys, the sway bar will want to fall down and put pressure on the bolts. So you don't want that to happen. What you really want is the sway bar to stay up. You want the bolts to come out for the most part, okay? So you want to do that for both sides. Again, this is a really easy job, guys, but the most difficult part about this is when you go to turn your bolts out, eventually you're going to hear a lot of funky noise. You're going to think the bolt is breaking. It's not. What's happening is, as you're turning that bolt out, the thread locker is breaking off. and that's what's causing that really funky noise that you hear. When you get your first set of bolts out, depending on which side you're working on, get a wire brush and try and clean up as much or clean off as much of the old thread locker that you can, okay? It will still be blue in that area, but clean up as much of it off as you can. Then what you want to do is put your new bushings on, put that steel cover around the new bushings. You want to take a fair amount, not a lot, just a little bit of thread locker and put right back over the blue area that you saw. And then you want to go ahead and insert your bolts until they catch. Don't tighten them all the way up. Just start it until it catches and holds the sway bar. You want to go to the other side, do the same thing with thread locker and the bolts, and then quickly bolt down both sides until they are extremely tight as you can get them. And then for the most part, you're done, okay? If you don't know what you're doing, make sure you take pictures of everything before you start again so you can reflect back to a photograph if you need to. Just make sure that the sway bar bolts are on nice and tight because you don't want anything to rattle. Then all you really need to do after that, guys, is put your wheels back on, hand tighten your lug nuts as tight as you can get by hand, remove your jacks, lower the vehicle down to the ground, and then what you want to do is start with one bolt, tighten it nice and tight, skip the next bolt, tighten that one, skip the next bolt, come all the way back around until you've tightened all of the bolts as tight as you can get them. And again, remember, the vehicle should be on the ground at this point in time. And then after that, for the most part, you're done. So I'm going to go out and show you again where the sway bar bolts are, what the new bushings look like, and then we can wrap this video up. It's a real easy job, guys. Again, just take your time. Make sure you put your thread locker back on because that's what keeps the bolt from backing out when your car is doing all that shaking and going over bolts. If you didn't have any blue thread locker, the bolt could potentially back out. If you were to inadvertently put red thread locker on this bolt, you probably would not get it out. This stuff works really well, guys. So I'm going to run out there and show you what it looks like. And then for the most part, we're done. One last time, remember, everything goes back together in the reverse order that you use to take it apart. Okay, guys, there is your new sway bar bushing. This black thing is your sway bar, and notice that it's connected to something else so it can't fall down. And again, the sway bar runs from the driver's side all the way to the passenger side, and it looks just like this on the other side, okay? Again, there are your two 15mm bolts, and as you see, there's not a lot of room for drivers and a ratchet to be up in there, and it's just that easy, guys. So we can go ahead and begin to wrap this video up. Okay, tubers, so as you see, where your sway bar bushings are and where the sway bar is, it's a real easy job. Just remember to take your time. The most difficult part is getting the bolt out because thread locker is designed to lock the bolt into place. Okay, I hope the video has been helpful and beneficial to you. If you have any questions, reach out to me. But for the most part, this video will see you through the first step to the end. And just take your time. Have fun with it. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you next time.